Like, I think one of the things going back to, our relationship, how it started and stuff, is just like, I think one thing you and I align on is a way by which we approach the world or progress through the world, and that's like we kind of try at our best, and like we fail, obviously, and like
Oh yeah,
my wife would definitely keep me accountable in this regard,
that's good.
but just trying to approach the world with this process of like being open to the best information or having our minds changed when better information comes.
Absolutely.
And I think that a lot of people struggle with that because like one, our ego gets in the way of like we a lot of times we want to be right, and I definitely sometimes am like that, like I want to be right, in an
Yeah.
argument or whatever. But like I think by using this process, it helps you kind of strip away the ego and strip away that defensive or whatever, and listen more and like be open more to more information. So I think that was one thing that we always aligned on, and why we're always able to have these conversations and be better people because of them,
Yeah.
because we're both open to hearing what the other person says. And sometimes I got better information than you and
Yeah.
I change your mind, and
Yep.
sometimes you have better information than me and definitely change my mind. And I think that's definitely one of the missions behind this podcast is we want to open minds one conversation at a
Yeah,
time.
enlightening minds one conversation at a time. No, I think it's super important. Going back to something that you said earlier in the conversation about the ego or whatever. A lot of people don't realize that we have two minds, right? Depending on what you look at, if you're looking scientifically or whatever, but they may call it conscious or subconscious. But I basically look at it as I and me. Right. So the lower consciousness is, it's more receptive, right? That's me. So everything that you've ever experienced in life, whether you were asleep or awake or whatever, your brain has been recording it this entire time, and you actually have the ability to go in there and pull it back out. Right? This is crazy stuff. I mean, there's some stuff called the Akashic Records. And if you look this stuff up, you'll see what I'm talking about. But all this information is like super ancient, right? And the me is not who you are, right? So when you say like, oh, my arm hurts, right? The my, right? Who's the my? Because if it was all you just say arm hurts, right? But you say my arm hurts, right? So that to me implies that there's a separation between you and whoever this my is, right? So I always try to simplify it like this, right? When the alarm goes off, what time you wake up generally on a work day?
Anywhere between 6 and 7.
Okay, 6 and 7, right? So boom, let's say you've been up. It's we're up till 1 o'clock in the morning. Our alarm goes off at 6. Bing, 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 bing. What's going to happen? It's going to ring. You're still tired. You have an internal conversation when that happens, right? The me is telling you, oh, but this bed is so cozy. Just stay right here.
And I'm sleepy.
And I'm sleepy. And I, which is who you actually are, is the one that decides either to give in to the me or do what the I says, which is the higher consciousness. So me is a receptor, and the I is the one that actually makes decisions.
This reminds me of the work of Ian McGilchrist. Have you ever heard of him?
No.
He's this philosopher of mind guy, English guy, and he has this famous book that's used. It's like it's a really important book in the world of like neuroscience and psychology and stuff. But the book's called The Master and His Emissary. And it's this concept of like the brain has the master and the emissary. And and the master will often have, I'm definitely paraphrasing a lot of the work here, but like I'm definitely not technical enough to go through like the whole thing. But he was on a podcast talking about how like the master is the I or whatever, it's analogous to that, and the emissary is the me. But the master will often have the emissary carry out functions for it. But and it's interesting because they've like done studies on people who've had like strokes and like all kinds of stuff, and how if the master part of the brain goes down, it's like game over. Like the emissary can do stuff, but it won't be able to do stuff
Right.
for real. But if the emissary goes down and the master's still around, it might be switched. I can't remember exactly how he kind of articulated it, but it's that concept of like one is the master, one is the emissary, and through one is like the main brain. The other one is more like it carries out the work of the other one, which is why I love the master and his emissary
Yeah.
as like the way of phrasing it,
Yeah.
because it's like you think about back in the day when kings sent emissaries
Right.
to like send the message
Sure.
or whatever. It's like that kind of concept.
Yeah.
It's an interesting concept. I think
Yeah,
that
no,
work is super interesting.
This information is like, it's been around way before your grandparents. I mean, this has been around since the beginning of human civilization. The people, but this was, they call them secret schools, and it's not because mystery schools, right? But it's not because like it's some crazy mystery. It's just that the information is so precious and it's so simple that people don't value it. So they realize that, and they're like, dude, we're just going to keep this for the people that truly understand. And that same I versus me concept is the same as the spirit versus the soul, right? The soul is the I, and the spirit is the me in the situation, where that when that Holy Spirit takes over you and comes over, and then you still have to go and consciously do what you're supposed to do with this spirit, right? So, this stuff is just like super fascinating to me. And then once I got like, more and more tapped in, and you can never be tapped in enough, like you're always just on that quest. But once you have like that solid foundation, then you can do anything. I mean, like here we are like doing a podcast, like just like super random, because, that spirit took over and it caught us both at the same time, because, I always want to like work with you. He's like my favorite person to work with, like on basically anything.
Appreciate that.
Cause it's just like his work ethic is like super like on par with mine, and even if I'm tired, like he wants to keep going, or vice versa. And I've always just admired that, because a lot of people that I've worked with in the past, like they fall off on the consistency side of things. And you can't win alone. Like you have to have a team around you, and everybody needs to like be on the same page. And I just always felt like, yo, Rizzo gets busy, dog. Like he gets busy.
Appreciate that.
And but you're getting old now. You want to go to sleep all the time.
Yeah, man. Well, I need my 8 hours.
He needs 8 hours, bro. That's insane.
I used to joke and say I was like one of those people with the 6-hour gene or whatever that they've said is like a thing now. It's like some people are born with like a gene where like they can operate the same way off of like 6 hours of sleep or less.
Yeah.
And I definitely used to think that in my 20s, but now as I've gotten older, I'm like, nah, I don't think I have that gene.
I feel like it all just depends on like how much you want something. So for me, like just understanding that like my time here is finite in this body, right, in the physical. I want to be able to do as much as I possibly can, and like the greatest gift that we can give to people is whatever jewels that we possess, we want to share it with the world. So, I do that in, multiple things, from, the financial stuff that I do, from music to creativeness, ideas. Like I'm just like on go mode, bro. Like I feel like I want to be doing this till the day I die, like getting busy. Cause the days when like I'm idle, it's not good. Like I have a tattoo here that says idle hands make active minds. And it's like, it's okay to be idle from time to time, but it's like, dude, we got to get busy. We got to go out here, because
definitely need like the breaks and for sanity and for mental health and just to make your work better. But I definitely agree that too much, that's when you start to, there's times where like I don't have a project I'm working on or whatever, and like work slow, and like if I don't like have plans to do stuff, I'm like sitting in the house and I feel like I'm wasting time.
Oh yeah.
And like that feeling gives me so much anxiety, and it's like a gift and a curse, because it's like I feel that way like so much throughout my life, but it's also a gift because it keeps me from becoming complacent.
Right. No, complacency is like the enemy of growth. So it's like I definitely don't ever want to be complacent, and it's not like I'm striving for like more material wealth and stuff. I mean, it's a couple toys I want for sure, but yeah.
I'm a gadget guy. I love
You
gadgets.
like the gadgets?
Yeah, as you can see.
Well, the technology is super important. You got to
Yeah.
like take the only thing that has ever, changed as far as like human civilization is technology. People are still the same.
Yeah.
We're still doing the exact same things we've been doing from day one, but the technology that we interact with shapes the culture a little bit, right? So totally feel like, like I subscribe to Wired magazine, right? I'm hip to what's going on. And I like Rob Report, but I don't need to accumulate more things. That's not really who I am. Like, if anybody like knows my music, I've had this shirt for like 12 years.
Yeah, I was gonna call the shirt out because I
Yeah.
was like, how fitting for the first podcast.
I know I did
Free
this,
speech.
but I've had this shirt. Like I did a music video, and I'm wearing the shirt in the music video, the Sooner or Later joint. And I've had the shirt for like so long, so I don't really care about those types of things. I mean, I like nice quality and stuff like that, but more so just like, how do we get these ideas out? Like, how do we, connect with people and have open dialogue and, expose them to things that they otherwise would have never been exposed to, and vice versa, and learn things from other people and other cultures, and challenge each other in a civil way. Like how we verbally joust all the time, but it's like, dude, we don't, we're friends. Like, we're brothers. You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, it's like, dude, let's just agree to disagree for now. And then, a week later or a year later, you can be like, you know what? Oh, man, I read this book, and now I see what you were saying that time when we were arguing. You were right. Dude, have humility. It's okay to be wrong. We don't know everything. The all knows everything, but we're just one small part of the all. So... we just want to share ideas, and I'm super pumped, and sharing new music, bro. We got the new music.
Speaking of which, I think we should announce a little project that's coming out in this summer.
You look like Larry David.
It's a pretty good project.